Good afternoon, Scott Baker.
Well, I think we've done like 70 of these, Mikey, and
I
I
think
wonder,
today's 75. I think
oh,
that's
is it really
a
75?
good
Yeah.
round 75. Yeah.
I was starting to wonder, like, if we just stopped at 3 o'clock, would I just, Eastern time, would I assume that I was live? Like, I'm live someplace. I'm on some streaming network. Yeah. All right. Time for Lead Better live, and glad you could join us. Glad to be with you. And whether you're watching live or whether you're going to listen later, you're welcome to. This is a thorny topic. In fact, I would say that today's and then tomorrow's is also a little bit unusual.
Yeah.
We'll be on a little bit of a roll here, I think. There's a lot to dig into. The title of this one is fairly long. Even when an extreme response is justified, retaliation is judged more harshly.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah, that's true. So the issue is sometimes leaders, we would like to think that maybe they don't have to do this very often, but they feel like they've got to make a stand, or they've got to kind of, like be bold, or they have to like exact vengeance of some kind. Might be a bad move.
Yes. Now, I love this subject because it gets to narratives. It gets to how things are interpreted, right?
Yes.
So it really appeals to like my storytelling nature as to like, and I think, what's his name? Blue Like Jazz did this to me. What's his name?
Donald Miller.
Donald Miller. Yes. Yeah. I heard him talk once, and he was encouraging people to put themselves as the protagonist of their own stories, where most of the time for his religious audience, it's like, you're not the protagonist. You always think of yourself as the minor character. But he said there's all kinds of great reasons for you to think of yourself as the protagonist in your own character, in your own story, because then when you think like, how should I behave? Now you're putting it through the lens of like, have I ever seen a hero in a movie actually act this way? Because if I catch myself acting in a way where the hero in the movie shouldn't be doing that, I like, this is the kind of thing that a villain would do.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do the things that a villain would do. And so that version of like a narrative approach to like understand, maybe reorienting a little bit of like what behaviors you should adopt and what you shouldn't. It was before my admired leadership days. And so I was thinking more of like from a principled point of view instead of behavioral. But I think that's the way a lot of people kind of consume whether or not they should or should not do something is how they show up in the narrative. Right. So even as we talk through this, I think there's going to be some of that comes up.
Okay. So if any of us would say, well, of course, if we wanted vengeance, we probably shouldn't act on it because, we'd probably get the bad end of the deal. We assume that. But yet we have emotional moments or we actually think there's a principled thing. Like, I'm not going to stand for this. I won't let somebody be abused on my time. And so you think you can talk yourself into it, but I can demonstrate this for everybody. So in a very short order. But what we'll do here is we'll talk about the principle, and then I think we'll see how it applies in a number of situations. And then I think we could all set up ourselves by the end that we're just ready to enter the octagon and throw down, and we'll just start pummeling people right and left. And no, but here's the thing. Let's say that I took I won't make it a son. I'll take my 11-year-old daughter to a baseball game, and a ball is hit, and a number of people go after the ball, right? So you see this from the recent case. If that woman had come over to the dad and then demanded the ball back, and rather than giving the ball back to the woman who everybody hates now, right? If that father had slugged her, like punched her in the face, pummeled her bloody, like the poor other woman was punched bloody in the stands the other day, that whole narrative would have changed, even if the truth of it were the same. Like, because again, it's a little unclear where was the ball and all that. We kind of assume it was pretty fast that the dad actually just grabbed it and she didn't quite have it and all of that, and she was mad. But if he had punched her when she came over and said, "You're not taking this ball back," boom, he would be the villain. Even if she was in the wrong coming after the baseball.
Right.
Right.
And so you're bringing up this narrative moment that we all have implanted in our minds. And the reason that it took off like a meme, it went super viral, is because in our minds, we had a clear good and a clear bad. So if our clear good who chose to de-escalate it instead
Right.
escalates the situation, we would probably have a split opinion, right? You certainly
Yes.
wouldn't have like 98% of viewers now.
I think
support of the dad.
I think it actually would support the whole thrust of the field note, because the field note really gets into this issue that if you're thinking about like the character of the person involved, you're going to actually feel like the person that responded excessively,
Yes.
that this is unwarranted, petty, vengeful, emotionally immature, irrespective of the transgression. That's what the field note says. That would be the case, because right now you would say, this guy went after the ball. It was his son's birthday. Is he the kind of guy that's going to try to rip the ball out of the hand of a middle-aged woman? Well, probably not, because he seems. Here's how we also know he's a mild guy, and this is unfair, which is when she surprises him, what does he do?
Yeah,
Right. He's not a "I'm going to punch you" kind of guy.
Yeah.
Right.
He went into immediately a defensive posture.
Defensive posture and a solicitous posture. Okay, take the ball. Right. Yeah. He's not arguing about it, so we kind of assume he's not the offender here. Right. It goes to that play.
Yes.
But if he did punch her, even if he'd been in the right, we would definitely assume he's wrong. So we all now know that would be the case, and yet, in the moment, we all often feel like, well, that's not fair. Right.
Yes.
Or I'm not going to let this stand, or you're taking advantage of me, or you're putting words in my mouth, or you're not understanding what I'm saying. So we're going to kind of, do whatever it is to, even to the detriment of our own reputation, to make the point that we want to make, however that happens in the world.
Yeah.
Well, how do we stop doing that?
Well, the way we stop doing it is by understanding how we're viewed, right? Number one, become a little more self-aware of how the people around you are seeing the actions that you're taking. And so if your self-awareness can be increased to the point where you are asking yourself, okay, what would the hero do in this story, right? The hero doesn't need to punch back necessarily. The hero actually needs to, like, the only time that a hero is punching back is when they're in defense of somebody who's weaker than they are. Like, that's the only time a hero punches back.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but there's some gray areas about where retaliation would work and where it wouldn't. Okay. So can I spring a narrative on you here to kind of get?
Sure. Yes, you can. But you said a point. I don't want it to go away about if a leader or someone in the moment is standing for someone else.
Yes.
Right. Then we tend to give a little bit more of a break.
Yes.
Right. If that guy had come in to intervene between that woman and another person, and she was flailing on somebody, and then he pushes her down, if he had just pushed her down and it was between the two of them, we would judge him harshly. But if he did it on behalf of separating her from a fight that was already going, we're like, he's standing up for the little guy.
Yeah.
Right. So that changes that dynamic a little bit. But go ahead, make your point.
Okay. I've got this queued up and ready to go here.
Okay.
Tell me what you think.
Okay.
Okay, that's retaliation, right?
It is. It's clever. It's funny.
Okay, so, and the reason that we think of it as funny and not like, because she escalated it, right? There's escalation there, and it is retaliation. But the reason that we feel like, that's kind of funny, and this off-camera person who's coughing and affected, they did it to themselves, because she didn't feed him.
Right.
She technically fed him the ghost peppers, but right? At what point is it too much, right? If you find out that she knows that he was deathly allergic to ghost peppers, and right. That would be something where like, it's over the line. But at this point, we're like right on the line where you're like, no, that is actually satisfactory. Right. So I'm a little confused here as to like when retaliation.
Here's where that particular line is. Now, first of all, you and I have been around the internet for a long time. And my initial thing all the time is this didn't actually happen. I hope it happened. I hope that a voiceover this
sound
could
effect.
all have been edited, the whole ghost pepper thing, it's like,
Yes.
and half the things I see on streaming YouTube videos of like my wife likes watching lawn care videos and where they clean up lawns. We all like transformation videos. And what's funny is there's like one guy on his channel, he's always like getting in trouble. Like neighbors are angry and the police come by. And all the time my wife is like, look at this. Now she kind of agrees with me that I'm right. But I'm like, this is all a fake. Like he has faked all of this as a drama so that he can put it into his headline. Well, it's happened so often that the other landscape YouTubers are now making fun of the guy. They're not naming him, but they're like, you all understand he's paying his friends and neighbors. We know this.
Yes.
And this is all a fraud.
Yes.
And it's starting to catch on among the audience. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Right. Now, in this case, Ghost Peppers, well, this was sort of the defense of the woman who just got convicted in Australia of poisoning the 3 members that died of her estranged husband's family. And she goes, I didn't know those mushrooms were poisonous.
Yeah.
Well, she did. Yeah. She killed them on purpose. And so she's going to jail for the rest of her life.
But
that's
idea,
going too far. See, that's my point.
Yeah, right. And no one is going to empathize with her. But when you set up the idea of like, okay, someone stole my lunch again, and this is how the majority of people are going to applaud this lady who planted the ghost peppers in the stolen sandwich. So when that takes place, whether it's real or not, what my point is, there's a narrative here that says, I'm going to go ahead and get the click views for this. Whether the narrative is fake or contrived, it's still the narrative that says it is worth it. I'm going to be viewed as the hero for actually exacting this kind of justice, except for the fact that the person did it to themselves, right? So it doesn't really feel like retaliation. Now, it almost feels like, okay, what is this discussion about? Is this like how to properly retaliate? That's not what we're doing, right?
Look,
the better thing is actually the noble third way that says, how do you actually take care of this in such a way where you make friends and influence people along the way, right?
Well, yeah, you can sometimes turn around that person. Occasionally you can't. Like I've seen that, or even a decent number of times you can't. But the point being, you don't have to accelerate the natural consequences of people's bad behavior.
Yes.
Right? So whether you're somebody who they're stealing your lunch or whatever else, you can do some things that would be reasonable to defend yourself here, but everybody knows that they are the villain here.
Yes, right.
And that would happen in the workplace or anywhere else. Now, the thing that is the important thing, which is we know whether it's retaliation or whether it's the statement you make after a crisis, that's the thing that's going to be remembered.
Yes.
Right? So you as a leader, whether it's your response in a crisis, and if you're a CEO who steals a kid's, didn't he steal a ball from the kid in front of him at the baseball game? The CEO from the Polish.
It was a hat from the U.S. Open. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, from the U.S. Open. Yeah. Well, it's like, and he's like, no, I'm just competitive. And then the whole world's like, no, you're just a jerk.
Yes.
So whatever your response is going to be people, they won't even remember the incident. They won't remember who attacked you. Just always remember that whatever you say or do after whatever is the provocation, the response is going to be the thing that is remembered, whether it's a moment where you're tempted to retaliate or you're tempted to shift blame or you're tempted to diminish. Take those things very seriously, because however you respond could actually make the trajectory because it exemplifies who you are, right?
Yeah.
And if, as you say, you're trying to make the situation better, not just make yourself look better, well, then all the better.
Yeah. And that's the best way to do it. Like the real hero in any story takes themselves out of the equation and is bringing the elixir back to the village, right? They're doing it for the better of everybody. And so if they have to make a sacrifice, whether it's something that they end up having to do to themselves or as a result of the commitment that they've made to actually carry through with the sacrifice, that's all part of it, right?
Right.
So when someone perpetrates something bad on you, your first response to be eye for an eye, right? That's tribal. That's backwards. We've all evolved further from that, right? And so eye for an eye is always going to be thought of as immature and childish, always. So why would you put yourself in that spot when you're, especially if all you're doing is thinking about the narrative and how you're perceived and what the PR is? You're in a great spot. when you're the one who's being taken
Yeah.
advantage of.
Right.
Because you have some great things that you can do as a result of it. Why escalate? Why would you ever escalate?
Well, look, this one is best exemplified as one of the great thoughts, I think, from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. The idea that the best revenge is not being like the idiot that did it in the first place. And that's not exactly the words, but you get my point. Now, tomorrow on Lead Better, live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we are going to be talking about how to retreat.
Oh, never heard of that. Okay, that'll be a good one.
There you go. There you go.
All right, till then, we'll talk.